Hi, my name's Genevieve. I'm part of the team here at C3 Impact, and I'm here with the fabulous Gary. Gary is someone who accesses our community market, which, if you don't know what our community market is, it's this amazing social supermarket that we run across our different locations. But Gary's been able to access that, and I just thought it'd be really great to take this opportunity to chat through some of Gary's story and hear a bit more about him. So, Gary, share a bit more about who you are and what you've been up to.
Well, for the last 20 or so years, I've been a missionary with Youth with a Mission. And coming from a different perspective, really. I used to run a business, I used to own a restaurant. And some of those skills were really, I've used now in Youth with a Mission to help them with like their business and setups and things like that. But I've run a program called Year for God, which trains young people and trains missionaries abroad. And most lately, we've been teaching the Bible and being part of Youth with a Mission's goal, really, of ending Bible poverty and ending Bible literacy.
Wow, that's a great goal, isn't it? That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you do kind of like this missional work, and I'm wondering, like, how did you get involved with Impact?
Well, during COVID, we had people out on the field in Uganda, in Kiev as well, and what really happened was we were unable to train the people to go out again. And so, we do, with Youth with a Mission, we live on support. So all our money that comes in comes through donations. And so we really had to kind of make sure that we were able to do ministry at that time as well. So what we found was that the community market particularly just helped feed me and my family during that time. It was another way that God provided provision for us to carry on in missions in the way we have done, Yeah,
that's awesome. Something which really strikes me about your story is how you've trusted God for provision throughout your different kind of life stages. I was wondering if you could share a bit more about that.
Well, living by faith, as they call it, is the most wonderful thing, really. But it's also the most nerve-wracking thing.
Yeah.
And I remember first starting thinking, I can trust God for provision for myself. But when you then place all of your family in that trust of God and say, I'm going to trust God to ensure that I can bring up this family in this space. And it's the most wonderful life, really, because you see God's provision time and time again when you're down to virtually nothing, and you just have this confidence eventually that God is who He says He is, and He does provide for the people who call Him to do the things that He's calling them to do.
It's so fun because it's like this ripple effect of what we're doing here and how that's impacted like wider communities and the kingdom.
That's right. The work we do now, we might well have not been able to continue to do. Having 4 hungry teenagers, as most people know, does kind of empty out the food cupboards quite quickly. And just to be able to kind of carry on using the gifts that we get in our ministry for ministry.
As we come to the end of this, I guess, is there any final parting words you'd like to share with the church?
Yeah. So what I would say about the community market in particular, and I've shared with you on many occasions, encouraged you really, that these kind of principles, I've been in missions over 20 years, and I've seen people do things in missions which they kind of tend to do because they should, really. And they tend to be short-lived. But what really impresses me about you and the community market particularly is the persistence, really. It's that persistence, that going for it, that investing in the people, which is what you're really doing. And in the Bible after that, it's talking about this judgment that's going to come on people who are really quite lazy and not really investing. And as a church, I kind of think, that's really great that they've got a ministry that they're just continuously pouring into the community, and you never know the ripple effect that has. I think one good story is like the Bible teachings we do. We have a pastor in Uganda, and he's asked us to go out again, as we've done before, and teach really in his community. Because what's happening there is that people are starting churches or even mosques, and they're drawing people in. But it's really a prosperity gospel. And it's great that we get to go and really share the story of how to study the Word and how to get the right principles out of God's Word and make connection with Him. And that's, going back to the fact that we might not have been able to continue in mission if it wasn't for the community market.
Wow.
And I think sometimes you can't even see how God's using that investment that you're making for His purposes. So I just think the community market's more than just providing relief for people that have food.
Yeah.
It's much more of an investment in the kingdom, and I'd encourage anybody to support you in the work and to continue on.
Yeah.